Um, I'm in Amsterdam and it's pretty gloomy outside, so I decided to make this little video and show you what I came up with as the best way, maybe, to use Photoshop in order to stitch and align Bromley maps before it gets to map warper. But what you show me and what the people who are doing the $5 work doing, I don't know if that's the best way, but let's discuss it, and I want you to understand how it works on my end. So I did that. I wrote the stages in here, just 7 simple Photoshop stages, and let's start. So first of all, I'll open the index map from Bromley and scale it in 800 because this is the ratio to the smaller, more detailed maps. So I did it already here, and what I also did is to isolate the borders, to take the red colors and just make the other stuff invisible, so I could easily use that to align the smaller maps. So I'm gonna put it here. Second of all, I need to place a Google Street Map or just a street-based map as a base I'll be working on to be accurate, and I need to fit it to the index map. So that's the index, and that's the base that I have already. So this is the base. On this occasion, I'll actually place the index map on top. I will align the index map to the base map, just because it's there already. It doesn't have to be accurate, but here you can see most of the red lines are covered by the base map, so I think it's good enough. Now I'll turn off the base street map, and the other stage we're having is to open all the maps I'm using as JPEGs in Photoshop. So I'll use the script in here to load file into stack, and I'm going to show you just 3 maps so you can see the whole process. Let's see, I know it's from 37 to 39. I'm going to do let's see it again, 31, yes. Okay, so I'm going to do 31, 32, and 33 maps. Okay, yeah, I think I got it. So I'll just rename them really quickly and move them into my canvas and group them together. Okay, now what I want to do now is to take each map and place it more or less, rotate it. What I wrote here is place and rotate maps near place on index map. So what I'm doing is looking at the borders and thinking how it should generally sit inside. So I got them all placed more or less in the direction and location they ought to be. It doesn't have to be accurate. That's a good point to save. Okay, now this is going to take maybe 3 minutes, so I'm going to stop the video and return in a minute. So it really took like 3 minutes, and so now I'm going to rotate each map on the street base or Google Street map base, which means I can say goodbye to the index map. I don't need it anymore. I can actually erase it. And now I'm going to work underneath the street base map. And now I'm going to go and take a look at each map individually and try and align it and rotate it as best as I can in regard to the base map. So start with number 31. And this is a kind of a tedious work. It is kind of delicate, and you have to look carefully at the lines and streets and so on, and align it. So I'm just going to show you maybe a minute of that, so you'll get the idea. And this is pretty good. You can see here it looks like it's not perfect, but here it looks like it's perfect. So this is distortion that there is in the Bromley maps, and this thing I will fix later when I'll warp it when I'll get to this stage. But this is mainly what I have to do now, is to rotate and to align it more or less, not more or less, actually more accurately into the location of the real maps we're gonna use today. Okay, so this process took me something like about 3 minutes, minute and a half for each map. And now it looks like this. So you can see it is more or less in the right space. At least the main part of the middle part of each map is in the correct place. However, there are those distortions in the maps. They're a bit bigger, or one dimension of them is larger than the other. And what I'm doing to fix that is the next stage. And so we did the rotation of each map and aligning, and now we're going to do the warping of each map by the street map, of course. And it goes like this. So there is this command in Photoshop which is actually warping, and what it does is actually, it's doing the same thing that we do in Map Warper, but instead of giving the 3 points, waiting for it to load, to think, and then look at it and see. Very hard to see in Map Warper what's going on. You have to zoom in, and it's very hard to control. What we get here is an instant warping, which means I can see these streets are not aligning really good. So, and here it's actually pretty good. So I'm going to take the other direction, other spot here, and click it and just start pushing it. And what you can see is that I can play with it and align it perfectly, or at least as much as I could, into the street layout. So it's starting to look pretty nice. You see all the base streets are in the middle of the Bromley. After maybe a minute and a half or two for each map, we are in this position now, where we have the 3 maps aligned, sitting like, I don't know, 90% accuracy underneath the base map. You can see this. It's pretty accurate, and the only thing that is missing is to kind of stitch or put together the map next to each other. So I can turn off the base map now, and now I'm going to show you how do I stitch them, which is actually just cutting message method. I'm sorry. It's just polygon. Using polygon lasso, I'm using a, let's say, technique of trimming the maps to make it seem like they are stitched together, and then I'm correcting it with the warping machine. So you can see they sit on top of each other it looks pretty fine. But what I'm going to do in order to make sure it's okay, I'm going to start and trim the edges of the map. So because I'm dealing now with the edge of the whole map, I don't really care about this part. But this part is the important one because this one is going to sit on top of another map, and the method I'm using is actually something I learned from Photoshop on how it merges pictures automatically, like the aerials. What I do is use the streets width, because there is a kind of blank space in the street that I can use, and it is long enough in order to make the stitching look pretty real. And so I do cut a little bit inside the road so it can match the other one. I'll show you that in a second. The continuous lines are much harder to align, of course, and you just need to be accurate, more or less. And I can play with it in the warping tool. And the rest of it I'm just trimming by the edges and hoping that the map next to it just give the same information and they can sit together continuously. So that was the first map to be trimmed. And I can close it up here. And